I'm so sorry I was not able to join you at the archive's grand opening. Our family's focused right now on the challenging and very sacred experience of the transition of my wife's mother. So we felt it was important to cancel our trip and be here with her. Reverend Kathy asked that I record what I'd planned on saying then as an encouragement to continue your amazing support of the foundation, and I'm honored to do so. First of all, I'd like to express my deep gratitude on behalf of the board, our many volunteers, and Reverend Kathy for all your support, prayers, gifts to sustain the archives and its move here to Unity Village. You have blessed us immeasurably, and we are so grateful. So now I invite you to cast your mind back to the opening as I read this as if I was there with you. Our friend Ernest once said, each of us is individual and unique, separated at the stem, but united at the root. Today, we are gathered in the newly planted garden that nurtures that root, our archives and library of the wisdom brought into awareness by Dr. Holmes, his contemporaries, and his many, many adherents. Here in these shelves and digital depositories is the collected wisdom of more than a century of extraordinary teaching, representing the hopes and wishes of our founder for each of our many spiritual centers, inspired spiritual leaders, and equally inspiring members around the globe. And, of course, the true root of it all is the eternal spirit and universal intelligence in which we all share so richly, and which Dr. Holmes revealed to us so powerfully and eloquently. In this day, when our world seems so divided and fearful, when the call of our hearts can be so easily confused by the bombardment of untruths, and when it is most urgent that we stay true to the legacy of the teachings that Dr. Holmes has given us, this archive of spiritual wisdom has never been more important. And so I was honored when Reverend Kathy asked if I would join her in speaking to the future of the archives and specifically speaking to encouraging us all to join together to cement a foundation for the future of the archives. I've served with the Archives Plan Giving Committee for about 7 years now, and more than a quarter century career in plan giving. Over those years, what has been most meaningful to me is evolving my thinking about the spiritual nature of charitable giving. So I'm thrilled to be with you. About 2 months ago, however, I allowed myself to get so entangled in the politics and economic threats passing between our two countries that I decided the only moral choice was for me to pick a side and not cross the border from my home in Calgary, Canada. It was a heart-wrenching decision and one I felt good about for about a week. During that week, I was reading the Science of Mind magazine as part of my daily practice, and Reverend Dr. Margaret Stortz, whose work is also memorialized here at the archives, presented the quote I opened with. Each of us is individual and unique, separated at the stem, but united at the root. I realized that by picking sides, I was siding with separation and not the unity of spirit I was declaring as my truth. That flash of insight stopped my limited thinking in its tracks. More readings by Ernest and others suddenly all seemed to be reminding me of the same truth. We are one. Oneness trumps separation. Who knew? So I let go of my righteous indignation and booked our flights. It's all a bit ironic now, considering I didn't make the trip. But I tell you this to make the point that the legacy being preserved and protected here is so important, so vital, and no matter how old it may be, is still so timely. It was this teaching that quickly brought my thinking back into integrity. So I'm glad to be able to do this for the archives and for you. Thank you for considering the future of the Archives Foundation. Kathy asked that I speak briefly to the eternal nature of our giving, as that topic was a passion of mine when I was working in the charitable sector in Calgary and continues now in retirement. So, as we consider the future of the archives, I ask that you indulge me for a few minutes as we discuss aspects of our being that I am confident are vitally important to you, although they are not a part of common conversation. And I realize I'm not simply preaching to the choir. I'm confident you have all spoken to this idea at one time or another. We'll be talking about expressing our eternal nature in a very practical way by including charitable bequests in our wills and estate plans. When we consider giving in such a substantial way, an incredible opportunity opens up, an opportunity to test our beliefs in the divine laws of circulation and reciprocity, to align our intentional giving with our personal mission and vision, and to ensure our choices and actions are in agreement with who we are here to be. Now, as a planned giving specialist, my role was to outline the mutual benefits to both the donor and their charity of including gifts in wills and estate plans. So at that very practical level, I was blessed with a very fulfilling career. But at a deeper level, it has also been enriching beyond my imagining. I was just completing my ministerial studies when I took my first charity position. As I settled into charity work, I realized this was my ministry, helping donors achieve deep personal satisfaction by fulfilling their philanthropic goals and, in the process, supporting work that is vital to our communities and visibly improving the lives of folks struggling due to financial, educational, physical, emotional, social barriers. One reason it was so satisfying is because I realized there was no need to ask for money. I would talk to people about their greatest passions, their reason for being, and then help them find ways to express exactly that. Working with donors opened my eyes to the workings of spirit in magnificent ways. Some donors, of course, were very wealthy, others not at all, but they shared one thing in common, a deep desire to be of service, to give, where they see the greatest need and greatest opportunity. They are compassionate, generous, joyful people who celebrate life by engaging in it, participating in the divine flow of creation, and doing the work they deeply believe is theirs to do. That's right. No matter their philosophy, beliefs, or background, they are practicing metaphysicians, practitioners of the highest order, not only living a life of faith, but acting from that faith. And in the process, fulfilling their version of CSL's vision of creating a world that works for everyone. I continue to be inspired by those conversations. So, why do we give? One reason is because it fulfills a deep innate need within each of us that is fundamental to the human condition and to community. We are hardwired to be of service. Also, there's something about giving, as you know, that gives full value back to the giver. There's a wonderful reciprocity. Our activation of this divine principle creates in us a wonderful feeling of connection and satisfaction. We can truly inspire ourselves. Our giving is a powerful demonstration of what is important to us, a manifestation of our passion for life, and a vitally important extension of our life's purpose. Some of the most memorable gifts I've seen were by people who were poor, ill, disadvantaged. It was not about the amount of the gift, but about their hearts being expressed. They gave themselves a full circle experience of the life-giving joy that comes with a selfless gift, first as a recipient of that charity, and then as the donor. So you see, our conscious participation in our giving lifts our spirits, feeds our souls, and if the studies are correct, actually makes us happier and healthier people. The benefits are both transformational and tangible. These archives contain an amazing history of the teachings of our friend Ernest. In a Holmes Reader on Practical Wisdom, he includes a prosperity affirmation titled Divine Abundance is Forever Manifesting in My Affairs. Dr. Holmes says, as I give thanks for the good now flowing into my life, I gladly share that good with others. The more I give, the more I receive. I experience a deeper consciousness of peace and security, for I know I am in the embrace of a warm, loving presence, forever seeking an outlet through me. My cup runneth over. I exist in limitless possibility. So, as we consciously and intentionally give, we find ourselves not simply in the flow of divine abundance, but initiating that flow. So exciting. We initiate it through our giving and simply by being grateful. Gratitude, as you know, is a generative energy, the energy of abundance. I love that being intentionally grateful opens us to the abundance of the universe. So I'd like to tell you one story to illustrate that point. Several years ago, my friend Abe was on the tennis court, living his bliss. Abe had been a very successful realtor, property manager, and was now retired. He was very involved in our center in Calgary, leading social events, even serving many years as board chair. He was a good friend to many people and was truly a force for good in our center and in the world. Getting in a rhythm, stroking tennis balls over the net, he suddenly stumbled and fell. The doctor said the heart attack was so profound he likely was gone before he hit the ground. Without warning, a hole was left in our spiritual community and in our hearts. We were left to mourn and to wonder. Sometime later, a letter arrived informing us that Abe had left a gift in his will to the Calgary Center. Initially, we were surprised as there had been no indication it was coming, but as we thought about it, we realized this is exactly the kind of consideration that Abe put into so many aspects of his life. The bequest arrived at a very opportune time for our center as there were expenses related to our building that were taxing the budget. His gift from a lifetime of work and caring was very welcome and helped us through a tough time, just as Abe himself had done over the years. Abe and I never talked about a charitable bequest. I regret not having that conversation with him, and so I was left to wonder what his motivations were. Was it for practical tax considerations, or was it more personal, deeper, an expression of his spiritual nature and a natural extension of his place in our community? I assume it was both, for Abe was both a practical and a spirit-led man. I learned later there was a history of heart trouble in his family, which left me to wonder if he had considered his mortality, or more properly, his immortality, and saw a gift by will as a gift by, from, and for his eternal nature, a gift that will survive him, speak so eloquently about what was important to him in his life and what he wants to continue to support after his passing. For that is what a charitable bequest is. It is a powerful declaration to yourself and your world what you believe. It is your testament, if you will, of what you want your life to be, to mean, to be remembered for after you are no longer here to speak for yourself. Dr. Holmes tells us life is an eternal givingness, the offering of the cosmic self to the joy of its own fulfillment. We are a part of this joy, and we find fulfillment only as this joy passes through us to others. At the grand opening, you heard about the board's vision for the archives. If your personal vision is in alignment with that vision, then I'd like to ask if you would do something in a very intentional and meaningful way, and in so doing, protect the roots of our teaching and expand its reach around the globe. If you're inspired to take this conversation a step further by joining me as a friend of the archives or as a member of the Curators Society for Legacy Donors, I invite you to follow up with Reverend Kathy or any of the board members. So as we wrap up, imagine, imagine decades from now, the joy of a young person discovering the manuscripts, the books, recordings of our beloved founder. Imagine the global expansion of awareness that comes from creating such a solid foundation here, now, from which our teaching can continue to evolve. Imagine your own sense of joy and satisfaction knowing that you have made a meaningful difference and being recognized for participating in the transformation of all, not only within, but beyond these walls and the resulting evolution of our world. Imagine your dream for this teaching realized. Today, I am imagining the Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation living into its higher vision through a collaborative giving from our eternal nature, and in that, creating a more powerful experience of community and a more joyful and enthusiastic expression of spirit than ever before. All I ask is that you give. Give your personal mission in life a fuller expression. Give the roots of your spiritual teaching a greater assurance. And please, give yourself a chance to reach beyond your grasp, to grasp the hand of the divine and be one with the greatest giver of all, the eternal spirit within. Spirit in me clearly sees and honors that spirit in you. Namaste.